as positively as we can in what we say to them and what we do to them. Remember, what we do on our side of the earth could affect somebody on the other side of the earth. You never know. And I'll tell you where I really learned this story. Being a business owner and having all these people, you get a chance at company parties or whatever to meet people's spouses and sometimes their children. And they say, you've changed my father's or mother's or sister's or brother's lives because of something you did. That's the butterfly effect. And I believe it's wide-ranging. The next thing I want to talk about is crystal balls versus rubber balls. Okay? It's a concept that I'm sure very few have heard of, but it's a key concept in thinking about the balance in our lives, right? Because we're all looking for work-life balance. It's a big challenge we're all facing today. The crystal ball is the relationships in our lives that we value the most. I'm fortunate enough to have been married since 1993 and been with the same woman since 1982. That is my most valuable relationship. It's a crystal ball. If I drop that crystal ball on the ground and it breaks apart, I can repair it. I can repair it with glue. But every time you look into that crystal ball, you'll see the cracks of that relationship. Even if something as small as saying, hey, I'll be home for dinner at 7 o'clock and I show up at 8 o'clock, maybe a little chip off the crystal ball occurs and we glue it back together, but we can still see that chip, right? So that relationship is so valuable to me, I don't want to hurt it in any way. But then I have the rubber ball relationship. I have the relationship with my brother Randy, where if we have a 12 o'clock lunch date and I say at 11:45 something came up at work, I can't show up, I know he's cool about it and everything's fine. That's a rubber ball that drops on the ground, comes right back up into my hand. It takes the same exact form and shape as it did before I dropped it. There's a huge difference between the relationships that we have that are made of crystal and those that are made out of rubber. And I want to make sure in the decisions that you make, both in your business and in your life, that you consider what decisions you make have on the crystal ball relationships and the rubber ball relationships. Has anybody heard of the concept of the Dutch uncle? When I owned this business, there's a lot of people shaking their head yes to me, right? Because suddenly because you have a big company, somehow you're smart and somehow you know a lot. And of course, the fascinating part about that is at the time, if you would have asked me if I was smart and knew a lot, of course I would have told you yes. How else would I have been able to do all this and create all this great stuff? But in retrospect, a lot of it was luck and opportunity and timing. Not to say that we didn't have a hand in it, we did. But I wish I had more Dutch uncles in my life. People who were willing to recalibrate me. People who were willing to speak the truth into me. So as part of our time together today, I would suggest that there are people in your lives that you can become Dutch uncles to, that you can talk into their lives and tell them the truth. Maybe you're seeing a place in their life where they're being irresponsible or making a dangerous decision. You should speak the truth into their life. At the same time, there are people in your lives that you trust enough to ask to be your Dutch uncle, to speak the truth into your life. And that when they see that you're making a mistake or a bad decision, that they tell you the truth. I'm going to close with an essay and a little advice. And I just hope that the things that I give, the crystal ball versus the rubber balls, the butterfly effect, hopefully they'll come to your consciousness when you really need them. My favorite essay that I've ever read is a simple essay called The Station by Robert Hastings. It's a beautiful, beautiful essay. And it's a reminder of how much we take life for granted, right? We've all scheduled vacations. So the vacation starts on Friday, right? We don't really care what happens from Monday to Friday. We're not looking at anything in life. All we can see is Friday happening. And we miss life from Monday to Friday, right? I would suggest that the joy of our life is not so much in that vacation, but in the looking forward to it and the life part of enjoying the journey of getting to that vacation, right? And in Robert Hastings' writing, he talks about the metaphor of taking our eye off our lives while we're trying to get somewhere else. So I'll ask you to close your eyes and come with me on a journey, a piece called The Station by Robert Hastings, my favorite essay. Tucked away in our subconscious is an idyllic vision. We see ourselves on a long trip that spans the continent. We are traveling by train. Out the windows, we drink in the passing sea.